That's a little wire.
Great.
I'm confused here now because of that. Everything all mixed up.
Yeah.
Everything.
Let's see. This goes first. Then this. Then I think this goes last.
That's, yeah, that's a resolution. I'd like you to do that.
Oh.
Look,
Okay, let me look.
this is, I don't know if you have this one for this, yeah.
All right.
And, the last one.
That's the same. Are you looking at the regular pack at the beginning? Yeah, I'm like, wait, that's not.
Right here. Yeah, if you want, you can take these two.
I probably won't do this one.
Okay, that's fine. Okay.
That's the logs and this thing. I don't have the number on it.
No, this is mine. This is, should be in the package.
Oh, this one. I can do the other. So there's no number. So
Right.
what's the number?
I don't know.
Okay.
Found it. Yeah.
You know what your number is?
No, I don't. I got too many packages.
This.
Had too much stuff to do. Can we stand for the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening and welcome to Town of Rush Board Meeting, Wednesday, January 28th, 2026.
Present.
Councilman Kais,
Here.
Councilman LaFlashon,
Here.
Supervisor Wilkins,
Here.
and excused is Councilman Brown.
Public comment?
Good evening. I don't know if this is on.
Yeah, it's on here.
Pull it closer. Now pull it closer to you, up a little bit.
Okay,
Thank you.
good evening, Jean Morelli, resident, Town of Rush. So I'm looking over tonight's agenda, and I'm hoping that the members of the town board have been given an explanation for the transfers of funds from one appropriation account to another. If that is so, I'll stop talking. But it just seems, and it's not clear what these transfers are doing. Is this for last year's budget and appropriations? Do you know that? I see that the budget director is, maybe she's present, but I don't know if she's here to answer questions for you guys.
Yeah.
About that. But I would urge you that if you don't have an understanding of what is going on with these transfers, that you postpone this vote. It's my opinion on that. I have one more thing I would like to say, and this is just as a reminder, I may say it many, many more times, that as you get going again this year, I would like to remind the board that in making any recommendations for code changes to zoning laws, that the preamble to the zoning laws, section 120-1, cap B, the regulations contained in this chapter have been made in accordance with a well-considered comprehensive plan for the development of the town of Rush and are designed to lessen congestion in the streets, to secure safety from fire, flood, panic, and other dangers, to promote health and general welfare, to provide adequate light and air, to prevent the overcrowding of land, to avoid undue concentration of population, and to facilitate the adequate provision of transportation, water, sewerage, schools, parks, and other public requirements. These regulations have been made with reasonable consideration, among other things, as to the character of each district and its peculiar suitability for particular uses, and with a view to conserving and stabilizing the value of land and buildings and encouraging the most appropriate use of land throughout the town. That has been covered extensively in our most recent comprehensive plan, and I sure hope that the new members of the board have received a copy of the comprehensive plan for the town of Rush. You need that because that's your Bible for when you're looking at changes and what people of the town of Rush, over 1,000 people have weighed in on this, more than the number of people who vote in elections have weighed in on how they want the town of Rush to look and feel. So I would urge you, or I would say you need to demand a copy of the comprehensive plan so you can have it with you at all times. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Supervisor, are we having people on Zoom join us for a discussion or any public comment on Zoom? Are we set up for that yet? Not yet.
Oh, no. Anyone else? Okay, so we will go to the resolutions. We'll go to the resolutions. Approval of the minutes. Move to approve organizational meeting minutes of Monday, January 5th. Yeah. 2026, as submitted by Town Clerk Hargrave. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
I would like to make an amendment. I'd like to be included that, I did vote no for the, resolution number 1, 2026. And the reason I voted no is because, I wanted to get a job description of the laborers. And, I didn't get that. So because I didn't get a job description of the laborers and why we hired a third laborer, I had to vote no for the whole slate. So I'd just like that to be included, amended, included in that. And with that addition, I could vote yes.
Councilwoman Rizzo,
Yes.
Councilman Kais,
Yes.
Councilman McGlashan,
Aye.
Supervisor Hankins,
Yes. Resolution. The move to approve regular meeting minutes of Wednesday, January 14th, 2026, as submitted by Town Clerk Hargrave. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
I have two changes. I misquoted on this one. So for resolution 58, 2026, regarding, the authorize the town vehicles to include the town of Rush emblem. I think I misquoted and Superintendent Kyle is also misquoted. At the end of it, I do not believe that Superintendent Kyle was agreeable to finding a labeling solution. I think it was that he was saying it was up to him about it. So I don't believe that he was agreeable at the end. That's a misquote. And then also, I think there needs to be a little bit of explanation why I quote that I'll follow up with Roy Teitsworth, because I wasn't the one to initiate that name. Superintendent Kyle brought that name up because that's the official auctioneer of our vehicles. Just so that the townspeople can understand why that name was brought up. And I did follow up with the town attorney on that one as well. And the other one I'm looking at was, oh, this is the long one. The compensation. So resolution 57, 2026. I'm quoted saying that with state law, votes are supposed to be ayes or nays. No, that's not why I brought up state law. I was saying we have to enact this to follow state law about changing salaries for elected officials, not that anyone on here had to vote aye or nay. So I wasn't regarding the abstaining votes from Councilmember Kais and Councilmember Brown. It was because I was just explaining my vote to go back to the salaries because we were out of compliance with state law. So that's when I mentioned state law. But those are my two changes.
so can I just ask the town board, so I understand from everything that you said, but it's not very easy for me to change wording, so specific stated,
Yeah.
what you want removed and what you want put in is much easier to revise and amend minutes than I really don't know how you want me to amend them exactly the way that you stated, unless you want me to do word for word.
It doesn't have to be. I'm just misrepresented. My vote doesn't sound like my explanation doesn't sound like it's even regarding what I was talking about. Like I didn't talk about ayes or nays in mine, and council member yeah, they abstained, but I never talked about their vote abstaining, so why would I talk about ayes and nays? And Highway Superintendent Kyle never agreed at the end, so I don't want him misrepresented on there either, because he had an opinion, and I want to make sure he's represented appropriately. And also, like, yeah, just misquoting, like, I would submit it beforehand, but I know that you don't want us that way, I don't think that's the avenue. But it's up to you if you feel like I should look at it.
But
Okay.
I would like to talk separately to the town board members on how exactly you want me to proceed.
Yeah, I'll follow up with you.
Different.
Totally fine. Yeah, I'll come up with a time and we can meet. So we'll talk about it.
So with the amendments.
Yep.
Councilwoman Marzell,
Yes.
Councilman Kais,
Yes.
Councilman Blanchard,
As amended, aye.
Supervisor Hankins.
Aye. I move to authorize the transfer of funds from the unexpended balance of existing operational accounts. Can I get a second?
What?
Go ahead, right?
I was wondering if, I did go to Janice on this. I didn't really understand how this worked with transferring funds. And one thing she did tell me is, the transfer would, from the library would always go to the library. And the transfer from the highway would always go to the highway and general to general. But, for example, just so that I could understand it better with Janice, I said, well, if you look at the bottom, general and the 15,000, and it was $15,000 taking from the engineer fund. And it was put into the director of finance. And I saw that 4,400 and I said, well, how is that? And, cause I've never had to do this before, the transfer of funds. So, and she said, well, I ended up needing a computer because we changed, formats. And there was no other way to do it. And so I wasn't questioning that. But so, so I guess I'm gonna have to abstain from this vote only because I really want to spend the money carefully, the taxpayer money so carefully. And I think this is probably the right thing to do, but I don't understand how this works enough. So I'm gonna have to abstain and then hope that the wisdom from others can carry wherever it needs to go.
I think we have to amend the motion because we had some different paperwork here. So I just handed him my paper that has more explanation on it.
And I will
So
read the motion. Move to authorize the transfer of funds from the decrease and increase appropriation balances of accounts for transfer number 1 through number 3 in the amount of $118,900 be approved.
Is there a second?
Do I have a second?
do you still second that one?
I guess out of this, I mean, this is what our finance director says we need to do here. That's the first time I've seen it, so.
Yes. Well, I spoke with her about this. And it's moving funds from an account that we haven't used as much to accounts that we had.
And that's. I mean, there's nothing that looks out of line per se, it's just, I guess I'm just. Is this something we
And
could, we could table for 2 weeks or no?
Five that have to be done when they're closing out 2025.
Oh.
So you can begin 2026.
Okay.
And-
Appropriate.
No, okay, that,
And I have not gotten any reports from our accounting firm disagreeing.
okay, I understand what we're up to. All right, it just kind of caught me off guard here, right? No, I'll second.
Councilwoman Rizzo,
Abstain.
Councilman Pies,
Yep,
Councilman McLaughlin,
I'll trust the supervisor's explanation. Aye.
Supervisor Hankins,
Aye. Now. Here we. I'm-
and reviewed all vouchers on abstract 1-2 dated January 28th, 2026. Authorized payment totaling $310,838.52, which includes Fund AA General for $122,550.41. DA Highway Townwide for $156,471.17. HH Capital Fund for $253, sorry. $253 for LL Library for $31,104.54. And SW Special District Water, $459.39. Do I have a second?
I second it
We need to include the penny. You missed the penny.
with an amendment.
You missed the penny, 253 and 1 cent. So I just don't want to be a penny short. They're not making those anymore.
Oh,
So.
Yeah. I'll second it with an amendment to capital fund for 253.01.
doesn't need to be amended, but.
Okay.
here's LLL.
Yes.
Councilman Pies.
Yes.
Councilman McLaughlin,
Aye.
Supervisor Hankins,
Aye. Resolution to amend Resolution 17, 2026, adopted January 5th, 2026, on the flex spending adjustment dollar amount. That the amount contributed by the town of reimbursement for expenses incurred by the employees having medical coverage with the town of Rush under the flex spending agreement be set at $500 for the year 2026. Contributions made by full-time employees for their flex spending account are limited to the state dollar amount by the federal government for the year 2026. Full-time employees who are not covered by the town medical insurance will receive a payment of $2,600 for the year, paid in installments in their bi-weekly paychecks. Can I get a second?
I was wondering if, you sound like two different thoughts here. There's the first part is, the flexible spending agreement at $500. And the second part is offering a payment of $2,600 for someone opting out of our health insurance policy. So I'm still questioning the $2,600 because right now there's no open enrollment and there won't be any open enrollment until October, November. So, but I could say yes to the first part, but I'm not sure I could still say yes to the second part of this resolution. And I think the second part of this resolution, I would be welcoming, I would really like to say yes to it in our 2027 budget. If there's one person, only one more person that would rise up and say, I will opt out if you offer me $2,600. Because right now, if we okay this, it's like we're gonna be giving away $1,300 to just one employee who's already taking it for $1,300. So I'd rather not spend that money because there's no open enrollment. Another employee isn't going to come up unless there's a change of status, is something that David had mentioned last time. So I guess I want to be more fiscally responsible with that, but I think it's a good thing in general.
I followed up with our financial director too, like I said I was going to last time. Talking to Janice, actually this was floated past employees, so it was brought up. And we actually had a reduction in employees taking the buyout. So we're down to one employee that actually wanted to take the buyout. So I don't see a correlation with increasing the incentive to have employees opt out because they're locked in for the year. Open enrollment, as you said, is closed. She said the only thing that she would need to do on her end is she misprinted because she went ahead before the organizational meeting and printed the employee handbooks. She would just need to reprint those with the 1,300 number that we put before. So I think she spoke to the one employee that took the opt-out and it didn't change their opinion. Like they've just been taking it because they take their spouse's insurance. So I don't see the incentive benefiting the town. I just see it as a cost. And the associations of towns, I know we had some correspondence that I saw from Councilmember Rizzo. And they suggested that really it is up to the board at this point. It was already passed. It would just have to have compliance on the employee handbook, get the signatures. So I just see it as a $1,300 savings, and I know we're trying to save money right now, so that's just my view. Did a little homework, so.
Well, the reason that I have it back on the agenda tonight is because there was a mistake made. This was a part of the 2025 insurance plan. We made a mistake by changing it in 2026, and we are putting it back.
So there needs to be a discussion with the financial director then, because then there's a misunderstanding of that with her. So I just went to who works in the town and that's what she's here for. And the Association of Towns.
We could table the resolution.
Yeah.
And, or we could vote on half of it,
We
And
did
do the
that
second
already, I
half.
think.
the table that side of it.
I think we should at least make sure the flexible spending accounts are available to employees, because that's not gonna change.
I would like to ask our town lawyer his advice, because this was made as part of the 2025 insurance plan for the town of Rush.
So, I don't know the historic, the institutional knowledge of, where it's coming from. The one comment that, there's a lot of talk about, the open enrollment periods. And the one thing that I was thinking about that is that, yes, you're right, there's no open enrollment right now. But, my understanding is that if there's a qualifying event that an individual that's employed, that would trigger their ability to adjust the benefits through that special enrollment period. So I don't know to what extent that would impact your thought process, but in terms of when is open enrollment, when is it not, when can you make those adjustments? That's just something I would kind of flag in terms of consideration. In terms of whether to keep the two parts of the proposed resolution together or separate. I think that's the discretion of the board. If you think that the first clause is less controversial and you have consensus on it, you can move forward on that if that's what the board wants to do. And, leave the next one until you've got time to close the loop on that and make an informed decision on how you want to deal with it. But, that's some of my thoughts on it.
Thank you.
The background, the institutional knowledge is, I wasn't here for it, so.
Yeah, but
So if we continue with the 1,300, are you saying we would reopen enrollment because it's a change of status? But I don't think you could do that.
No, that's not what.
So, yeah, I just wanted to make sure.
I was saying that like, what are the qualifying events? Like if you get married.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, something like that. Those things are qualifying events that allow you to adjust the benefits. I
Yeah.
wasn't commenting on town board action.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that.
Well, good clarification.
but still. Based upon the town giving employees the opportunity to decide what insurance plan they would want for 2026 that ended December 2025. They made their choices. This board, in our organizational meeting, we made a mistake and we changed what the town had approved for 2026 in their plans in 2025. That's what's on the table.
Okay, so you're looking to correct,
A mistake that this board made
that's.
by
certainly-
changing the insurance plan that the last board had passed. And that's why it's back again. We had it here at our last meeting. And we had time to think about it and look into it. And nothing's changed.
So what I'm saying is
But
that-
we now have the opportunity to start to look at our insurance package for 2027. Because based upon my understanding, we are already living with 2026. That was passed by the last board in 2025. So we made a mistake, this board, and changed it. And that's why we put it back out to be corrected.
Are you saying that the board last year promised $2,600?
Yes,
But they also had the misprint, like, so now I'm getting questioned because we had to undo reduction of salaries. So really, we need to examine, I guess, the legality of the budget last year to make sure that everything's right. Because now this is the second piece of the budget we're looking at. And there was a lot of work put into that budget, I know, so I honor that, like what you guys did. But yeah, I guess there would have to be more research again then if this is becoming a huge question.
Well, I just want to say that I respect what you're saying, Supervisor, and I'm willing to change my vote to a yes. I hope I'm doing the right thing. And I'm willing to change my vote to a yes, because if it was promised and you'd like to fulfill that promise, then I respect that.
Well, the 2025 board had this on the budget, and that person that elected to go with this elected it for the 26 year of 2026. So there's no more options for that person. And this new board made the reduction on the startup of the year. And so all we're doing is correcting our startup mistake and making that correct.
and we changed what David is saying because that was a decision that was made that was against the law. And we had information from our attorney showing us that. That's why we made the change for the salaries back. But insurance has nothing to do with salaries.
Okay, so where's the report then for the attorney though for this? If it's a question. I'm just saying, I reached out to the Association of Towns with Rizzo
Yeah.
and we asked their legal advice on this because towns that are part of it have the access to that, so that we didn't burden any budget if going through attorney fees. I know that Jacob's a really great attorney, so nothing against you, Jacob. But we reached out just to do our due diligence, and they didn't advise that anything was out of the ordinary. It was still at the discretion of the board for adjustments. And speaking with our financial director, she said it would just be a reprint. Speaking to the employee, we actually, by raising that, this is why I think we need to do our homework and talk to our employees, because the incentive was raised last year and less people took the health insurance. Or more people took the health insurance, sorry. So we went actually by half, because there was two that were not taking it, and then we raised the incentive, and now we have one. So it backfired. So we really need to take into consideration, what are the employees looking for? They didn't want $1,300 more dollars. That wasn't enticing to them. So instead, we are now just giving away $1,300. And we're spending more because someone else went on health insurance. So we really got to talk to the employees. But that's my labor background, so.
I respect.
I don't necessarily agree with the fact that we're giving away an extra 1,300. It was in the budget
Yeah,
for this person, so you could save 1,300 if the person agrees to it, but basically
Yeah.
it's already been earmarked for this person.
And would the
So-
person have the right to go back now and take the $35,000 of health insurance? That was the reason for putting this in the health plan.
do you know who the person is?
We can't do that.
I know, but
That's
just say yes or
against
no.
I don't know who the person is, no.
So I know who the person is. I'm not gonna out them here because I'm not gonna discuss what they did in their packages. But I did the research, and that employee has taken the incentive even when it was a fraction of this amount. All the way back. And I took my day off from work to look into this because I really did care about this, and I pledged to work on budgetary issues. And talking to attorneys, talking to employees, talking to financial directors, I feel like I exhausted every avenue here to see that we're covered in this. And I think it's just a reprint. It'll be paper cost, but I don't think it'll be $1,300 in paper cost. So. But you guys have the right to your vote. I'm just giving my opinion.
So we have a second and call the vote.
First, I didn't get a second. I didn't get a second.
A second. Can I get a second?
Second,
Councilman Rizzo,
Yes.
Councilman Kais,
yes.
Councilman Goshen,
Nay.
Supervisor Hankins,
Yes.
carried.
Next one will be you, David.
I think this is a 2-pager, so it might be reading a while just to let everyone know.
Before you read it, can we get
Yeah.
a little back or?
Well, that was before. This comes first.
This is included right on the final motion, and my pages aren't together here. Yeah. But does this go with the final resolution here?
Is there a back, the other one?
This is fine.
No, these are back.
That goes, this goes with.
Bottom, the one in front of you?
Oh.
David, is the.
This one.
Yeah.
Yes, so I start on page 3. I just want to make sure I'm reading in order here. So,
You're looking for this resolution?
yeah,
That goes to.
does it start here?
I think that might have been a placeholder. I don't know. Pam, is this
Right here.
other one a
No,
placeholder?
this is mine. This is it. Don't worry, this is it.
Oh, all right, great. What's the resolution number?
Doesn't matter.
All right, so here we go. Whereas the town board of the town of Rush, New York, the town board, has determined that it is the best interest of the town of Rush, New York, the town, to require, obtain, and maintain liability insurance coverage to protect the town, its officers, employees, and agents against claims arising out of the town operations. Whereas the town board has determined that it is in the public, bless you, interest to maintain liability insurance coverage for the town, and whereas the term of the town's existing contract for liability insurance coverage is to expire at the end of January 2026, and whereas the town has received a quote for liability insurance coverage for the town, and whereas the town expects to receive a second quote from a separate insurance provided for liability insurance coverage for the town before the end of January 2026. And whereas the town board desires to obtain liability insurance coverage that is both acceptable and sufficient to meet the town's operational needs at the lowest available cost. And whereas the town is committed to securing reasonable pricing and adequate coverage. And now, therefore, be it resolved by the town board and of the town of Rush, New York as follows. 1, the town board authorizes the town supervisor to select and accept the insurance company proposal that offers the lowest quote for liability insurance coverage, provided that such coverage is determined by the town supervisor in consultation with the town's insurance advisor and or town attorney as appropriate, to be acceptable and sufficient for the town's needs. 2, the town board authorizes the town supervisor to execute any and all contracts, binders, policies, and related documents necessary to effectuate said liability insurance and coverage or insurance coverage, and to accept said quote for liability insurance coverage for the town. 3, the town board authorizes the town supervisor to take such actions as are necessary to obtain said liability insurance coverage for the town. 4, the town board authorizes and directs the town supervisor, town clerk, and any other necessary town officials to take all actions necessary and are appropriate to effectuate the intent and purpose of this resolution. 5, this resolution shall take effect immediately. Do I have a second? Oh, Juliet, oh no, that's. Do I have a second?
I would like to have some discussion, but I don't need to have the discussion before the vote. I could have it after the vote. But I just wanted to, okay,
A second puts it on the table.
I second this.
Okay, we had. Well, the town had lost their insurance. And when I came on, 25 days ago, we started working with the town broker that we had at the time. And last Friday, we got a quote for $301,000. $301,000 for liability coverage for the town. Couldn't accept that. So we went looking for another company. And NYMAR, I was under the understanding from early December that they would not insure us. But in doing a lot of research and looking around, we were able to get them to offer us insurance today for $80,000. So that's why we asked the attorney to write it up, because we didn't know, and our insurance runs out at the 31st of this month. So we wanted to make sure that we didn't have to come back and have another meeting in order to purchase that insurance, because our next meeting is next month. So our attorney is going to look over the policy. We will get copies to all of the board members and make a decision as to go ahead.
It's, I was gonna ask the question it's basically the same equivalent of insurance,
Yes.
so.
We're not losing anything that we didn't have if we had paid the $300,000.
So that's a hell of a savings.
Yeah. I got my opinion, but opinions are no good.
Oh,
the insurance is. So,
I just want it noted, like in my meetings with the supervisor, he's been working really hard on this. Like this was like a day one issue. And like it takes a while to find those quotes, and I'm glad he didn't give up on it because that's a substantial saving. Like that's a lot of savings. So I just thank you, Supervisor, for looking into that.
Also want to say that I also appreciate the supervisor's work on this. And if you see here, it may not seem as specific of a resolution as we would like, but because the term for the existing contract is set to expire at the end of the month. So we're giving him our permission, our support to get the lowest quote for liability insurance coverage. And also today it's on new business. And so we're gonna pass this I think we're gonna pass this resolution on new business, but it's never our intent to put something up as new business and pass the resolution on new business unless it's something that is necessary time-wise. So normally this would go to new business and then we'd have the community have an opportunity to research it, speak on it, etc. And then it would go to old business and we do the resolution that way. So and we apologize for it being on new business, but it was an urgent matter.
can you call the vote?
Councilman Rizzo,
Yes.
Councilman Kives,
Aye.
Councilman McLaughlin,
Aye.
Supervisor Hankins.
Aye.
Here.
Any correspondence? On the board? Any correspondence?
Correspondence.
Oh. I did follow up. So last meeting, we had a resident raise a concern about the shooting range over on Stony Brook at the end of Kavanaugh. Oh. He said
Okay, yeah,
correspondence.
Yeah, well.
Oh.
Right.
We'll get
yeah.
to it.
Come back to that. I'm just going with what he said. But so I did follow up with, well, I sent an email to the dean of the department that handles that at MCC, and I just sent up another follow-up email to that because I haven't received back something. I'll reach to higher up if I don't get a response this week. I attended the planning board yesterday. It was nice. Someone's building a new house right in that area. So I congratulated those residents on getting their plan approved. And it looks like there's a couple more projects coming next month. So definitely look at the agendas on the planning board. And also I'm working on, I've been tasked with the zoning board vacancy interviews. So I'll be setting those up soon because we set a schedule with the board members here to make sure everyone could attend those and just the structure of the meeting and the rotation in the interviews. And then I'll be reaching out to the candidates to set up their interviews. I had to step in a little bit because our supervisor was out for a couple of days for training. Quite an experience. We had a lot of things coming in, handling some policies with the after-school program. That was something that I thought was really great. And then we also just talking about the locking up procedure and talking to employees about that. They've been really helpful and willing to step up to lock up. So it's good that everyone wants to pitch in with security here. But otherwise, that's all I have. Oh, and then grants. I've been looking into maybe some possible grants. So hopefully we can talk as a board going forward. I think the governor has been making a lot more grants available coming in the summer. So some things to look forward to, maybe taking advantage of.
So it looks like we're gonna be doing our town board reports next week or let me see, it says here on the first meeting of the month. So I know that David just gave his report, which is lovely, but I'll wait for ours, I guess, until, because I think we're trying to set some new procedures. And it sounds like we'll be giving them our reports the first meeting of the month.
I'm
Or-
willing to talk.
But
But my meeting's at the end of the month, so I get a little shorted on it because then I have to report a whole month later. So I just want to make sure everyone's updated on planning board. So
And just to explain what we're going to be looking at for workshop topics. Completing about zoning updates. Because I agreed at the end that we're just going to have to pull that task force back together. So we'll be reaching out to all of the people that were on or new people that would like to be on that board or that committee rather. Flood prevention and mitigation. We are looking to create a committee to have us start to work on flood mediation throughout the town. Safe roadway, pedestrian, bicycle, visitors, working on grants. And hopefully we can get more people that are interested that have good grant skills, writing skills. But those are some of the things that we would be working on. Budget, which we will have time to look at everything, not budget, I'm sorry, yeah, the budget for 2026 and 2027. And I think it's a good time to start that right away. Healthcare. Benchmarking. Benefits for healthcare. Insurance cost benefits. Risk management, lowering our risk, reducing the cost of insurance. So hopefully we'll have a lot of people showing up for those workshops.
I'd like to comment on this, Supervisor. So, you know, whenever you make decisions, you want to make decisions based on, you know, what do we do now? What's most important now? And I see two things that are I like the idea of we've got to start the budget process sooner than later. So I like that. And I think it's important. But it is crucial that we look at storm water management right now. And I want to look at it. So I'd like to get that task force going this week even, or at least putting the word out that anyone who is interested in being on a task force for the town for stormwater management and flood mitigation, that they write to me and the supervisor perhaps, and we can start that task force because there's a long-term process for that, but there's also a short-term process for that. And the first thing that I think we have to start working on before the next board meeting is what are we going to do in the next 4 weeks? In the next 4 weeks, it's springtime's coming. February will be over, and the snow will melt, and the rain will come, and we need to come up with some action items for next week. And I hope that we can put that on. We shouldn't wait till the next board meeting. So let's come up with those short-term solutions. And, you know, we have a Gambian outside, right outside, near the library, and that's collapsed. And I know the last board has looked into this, and I'm sure the highway superintendent is well aware of this. We have the tributary that is flowing to the creek that it needs to be cleared. And I know we talked about the retention pond at the Chases, but those are, and I'm not saying I know everything, and I'm starting to collect information and talking to different people. And I think we need to start moving on it this week about what is our action steps for when that water, because, you know, it's about the citizens in the town and in the hamlet, but it's also about the citizens on Middle Road, and there's, you know, citizens all throughout the town. But what can we do now? Because this is a basin, and what can we do to alleviate that immediately? This week and next week, some action items. So stormwater management, I'd like to get that task force started right away. But before the task force gets started, I'd like to come up with some action items. for in the next 4 weeks, what are we gonna do? Several action items. So that's to me number one. But this is something else that has been, in my opinion, number one for many years. So, yeah, I'm gonna step back and say stormwater management, let's do that. Let's please get that started. Traffic safety, you know, there's at least 4 intersections that are very dangerous. And I think most of you know about them. I don't need to go into it right now. And even last night, I went to the planning board meeting and one of the citizens said over on, Works Road, you know, it goes from 35 to 55 and there's a new house being built. A lot of homes have been built and the speed limits haven't changed. And there's a lot of different things going on with this whole speed limits and I don't want to be a fatalist saying, oh, that's the state, we can't do anything about it. I want to get a task force together of citizens and I want to do our very best so that we don't have to wait for another small accident, large accident, death, anything like that. So I really would like to get the traffic safety task force started as soon as we can. But because that has been a problem for a long time. And I know, West Rush Road as well. And I know that Luther's been working on that. So, in terms of, so those are the two, you know, high importance task forces. And in terms of the code changes, I've been thinking a lot about this and, you know, you saw me speak out about this. And I really want to involve the citizens. I want to have a community conversation about the code changes. So whenever we start to set that up, if we're going to do that within a workshop, I want to make sure that it's on the website, it's in the newsletter, that these are the code changes that we're going to be working on. And I want to do it with the entire community as a partnership. And that might mean that we invite the community to participate in the workshops. Or it might mean that we have a forum at first, maybe not, but we need to outline what these code changes are. You know, we have a lot with solar, which we haven't begun to talk about lately, some very good changes, I believe. And then we also have residential code changes that could influence all of our lives and some of the proposals. And some, you know, so I'd like to really hear, I think we're going to get a really good end result if the more voices we have. So I want to be able to set that up. And then when we do talk about the code changes, I like the codes to be available. And, you know, we do have them online, but also when we're discussing them, I like to have them on the screen for Zoom and also just for the citizens to be looking at. So really having that community input there. And these grants, a lot of things depend on, you know, our unappropriated funds. And yeah, we want a lot of good things for the town. So, but we need to have some matching funds sometimes. So yeah, we have to really be kind of fiscally conservative but we are working on the one grant for the transportation, based on the group that worked on I forgot what it was called, but what was it? Transportation, the council. So that's for the intersection here, 251 and East Henrietta Road. So yeah, those are the things I'm thinking about.
Okay.
And I'm so excited about these workshop topics.
Good.
So I'm glad you raised.
Thank you.
No, I echo those and I definitely piggyback off of it. I think if you watch the governor's address, there's a housing crisis too in the state. We hit Rush is pretty rural, so we definitely need to be looking into the zoning code on how we're shaping the future of the town and getting resident input on that. Especially if this is a state push, and even like I did some math too, and even calculations for Rush to be a pro housing in the next 3 years, we would need 15 houses total. So one was approved last night, so 14. So and for that, we could open the town for millions of funding from the state. So I think that's something we really should look into because I know budget's a huge issue and topic for us and that's in there. But definitely looking into what's available for us because 14 houses, if you think about it, not a huge like lofty goal to have to set for 3 years. in order to get access to millions. So I could see it as a huge benefit for improvements in the town. And I definitely think that's workshops coming up and something we should be targeting, especially in some of our deficit areas in funding.
Okay, upcoming board meetings. Conservation, 2/12/26. Zoning, 2/19/26. Planning, 2/24/26. Town Board, 2/11/26. And 2/25/26.
And Supervisor, did you want to talk about the Committee on Open Government? Is that something, not tonight?
Another public comment? Well, did we miss a vote? Any question?
No, I was just going to,
Oh,
I didn't
sorry.
really realize
Yeah.
that we weren't gonna do any reports, but there's some information that I would just like to. I'll continue to only do it in the first of the month, if that's what the board wants.
No, it's good. Go
but
ahead
I
and give
do
your
want to know.
reports.
Thanks.
That's good. Thank you.
Hey, I don't want to be the only one, so definitely don't make me look alone here. Do your report.
We did receive the December monthly activity and expense reports from the budget officer, Janice Smith. I submitted a check to the supervisor for taxes collected amounting to $725,199. And we have posted an additional $771,859.46. So right now we have roughly only 390,000 to collect to fulfill the town portion of our county taxes. So we'll be collecting county taxes through the end of May, of course. The postage meter lease was up. We've had it for 5 years. And the supervisor signed off today on another 5 years. And at a less of a monthly cost. And with the open secretary position, just wanted to know, let everyone know that our IT technicians have been very busy working with the .gov emails, implementing that and calling and talking to members of our staff. And we have new computers in the court office, so they've been working really hard on getting those up and running. The New York State court system is no longer allowing IT to remote in, so they have to be on site when they do work and on the court offices. And my office did communicate with the supervisor and the emergency preparedness administrator just during this emergency thing to go through text messages and emails, so we have that set up so that everybody knows what's going on. That's it.
Public comment?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Kelsey, resident on Middle Road. I appreciate the second opportunity for the public comment after we've heard the discussion tonight. I wanted to go back to the fund transfer and ask if anybody could explain to me what's included in the account that's listed as flood and erosion personal services for my own understanding.
I don't have all the answers for you tonight, but we can have it the next meeting for you.
That would be great.
Yeah.
From an outside perspective, I love the proposal for a stormwater task force. Taking a look at, removing funds from an account that's entitled flood and erosion personal services seems pretty contradictory. So if we have a stormwater task force that does come up with ideas on how we can prevent flood and erosion, but then we have no funds to act on those actions, that's concerning for me. As a resident, among a group of residents on Middle Road that's been asking for stormwater mitigation plans for a retention pond that is on a town easement for the better part of 6 months that we haven't seen any action on. That water, when it overflows that pond, not only does it affect our homes and our properties, but it ends up right back here in the town. So I'm glad that we saved money on insurance, or that we're going to once the contract is signed. But if that pond isn't taken care of among the other ponds that may be on town easements, for example, we still have a huge problem. And I'd like to see that be addressed and be a priority as we've been asking and discussing, like I said, for the better part of 6 months on this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mary Ellen Heyman from Middle Road. And I too like the comment at the end. It's very nice because now we've heard what you're thinking and you're giving us the opportunity to come in and comment on that. So it's very helpful. I will have to support Kelsey on the question about flood erosion and personal services. And some of the other things on here, I'm wondering about because as I see them, you know, money coming from the municipal boards, money coming from rec facilities and going back to parks, something coming out of environmental control and going to zoning. And I didn't get the sense that there was a lot of a real good handle on what was going on here. And I guess I would want to ask why the budget director doesn't come to these meetings. Especially if you're going to start talking about the budget early, you want to get as much information as possible, hopefully, so that as we all remember, that there is a problem with the budget this year regarding fund balance. And every time you talk about money and spend it, that adds to that issue. So I'll go back now to the $2,600 in the health insurance. I think it is critical that you start looking at health insurance. This was some discussion that the last town board had to look at health insurance, look at offering lower cost plans. That's going to be hard now because there's been a lot of changes in health insurance with the loss of the Affordable Care Act funding. However, that $1,300 payment, well, in 2025, whoever accepted that, I understand the reason why you'd want to continue it. However, you got to think about moving forward because if you hire anybody, you're going to have an insurance plan that maybe is not the platinum plan that you're offering everybody. And somebody should be looking into that now to see what the offering will be that you can agree on before somebody needs it. Because it's a lot more difficult when you're going to hire somebody and they're going on the payroll on the following Monday and they don't know what kind of health insurance you're offering now. So unless you're going to continue the platinum plan throughout 2026. And then the last part of this is the new employees and the budget discussions, because I think the more you talk about it, the more everybody understands it, and the more you can hear directly from the person who's responsible for giving you the information and making sure that everybody's clear on that information, I think the happier you'll be at the end of the budget process. So thank you for the opportunity to have this little comment and good luck. If everybody else stay warm.
I just wanted to clarify something that the Kelsey brought up, the first resident. The insurance, if you look at the budget from last year, we're technically not under budget. We're actually still over budget for what was budgeted. It's just a substantial savings from the first quote of 301,000 down to 80. But if I do believe, I don't have my budget in front of me, I apologize. I do believe it was about 58,000 that was budgeted. So it's still an increase to about 80,000 as the supervisor just said. So it isn't a savings that we have. It's just a savings from the first quote. But I do agree, you should get an explanation on that flood and erosion. I would make sure the supervisor has your email if you'd like that correspondence before next meeting. Otherwise, you can wait for that one.
And I would just like to bring back up Supervisor, what can we come up with some kind of an action to start this? Okay, tomorrow's Thursday. Come up with some ideas on what we're gonna do next week, let's say, regarding some of these flood prevention measures. I don't want to wait till the next board meeting. Can we,
I think the problem is it's not a problem. We can solve the flooding problem. Just you're not gonna do it in the next month. You're not gonna do it in the next 2 months. You've gotta get engineers involved. Some of them might be as simple as cleaning out culverts and opening them back up again. I heard that the one up on Middle Road, there was a culvert that was partially plugged. I have not had a chance to check it out. Now, obviously with the snow we got now, it's gonna be a little bit before that happens. So that might be a simple fix to some degree. But we need to get our town engineers taking a look at the design of the pond and see what's changed, what elevations are at. And a task force isn't really gonna be able to solve this. I don't have a problem. You wanna put a task force together to identify problems. I think that'd be a novel, that'd be a good deal. And because I'm sure there's other problems throughout the town. But it's gonna be take the town board as a unison to get our engineers involved, to take a look at these problems and how we're gonna solve it. On the other hand, back in the 90s, when we designed, no, I didn't put it in, but they put in a drainage district across the town. The taxes are collected on that. I guarantee you, you go back and look in there probably isn't a whole lot of money in there anymore. The issues aren't expended balances. So we don't have a lot to work with, as some of the people pointed out. So we need to, as a town board, and I know I got 3 new people up here, but the reality is we need to take a good look at the budgets and stop using the unexpended stuff when it's really earmarked for other things.
Right.
When we started out back in the 90s and, well, I say the 90s, late 90s, when I was on board, we tried to earmark for replacement of vehicles and equipment over there and repairing of vehicles and during the course of time and the elections and change of thought processes on the town board, the money gets taken, pulled, moved and shuffled, just like we shuffled here today, right? So as a board, if we want to work together, we can take a look at the budgets and stop the thievery of other balances so there is money to do this stuff. I think we can probably solve the one up there in Middle Road to help alleviate that relatively cheap. And there might be some, I think there's money in the budget now in there, but it's not a lot. But I think there's enough to deal with Middle Road. I think that's the biggest one. Then the second one will be downtown here. But you're and I think there are novel ideas of the task force, but I don't think a task force is gonna be able to solve the flooding problem. I think identifying them, that's a good call. Get people in from around the town, identify the flooding areas. What happens? Get pictures of it so we can go and look at what the issues are. Those are the type of things I think we can help, the people can help us help them. That's my opinion.
Well, what I've got to say is we've only been here 28 days. And there's been a lot accomplished. I'm going to be meeting with the town engineers tomorrow about flooding and where they are and what they've been doing. But it takes time. We're not giving up. And all of the things that we said when we were running for office, we are going to put them on the table. And I think that most of them will happen. But we're going to work with the total team here. As far as I'm concerned, we need everybody. And we're going to do that. And we're not going to stop. But it takes a little time. It took a lot of time to keep from having to come up with over $200,000 or $300,000 that we don't have. But still, within that, we're moving forward. And it's just, we're going to keep doing it.
And I think, Councilmember Kais, you're totally correct. Like, it just hasn't been put in the budget. And I think the task force pointing things out is definitely important so that we can start realizing what do we have to adjust in our budget to start saving to fix some of these things? Because they're not going away and they're probably getting worse. So that's definitely stuff we have to look at. And again, I echo the grant opportunities. I really think that that's an avenue we have to look into. The state has a lot for rural towns and for improvements and things. I think that's stuff that we have to put do a little bit of homework, work on these together as a board, get some of this money back to Rush, because we know our tax base is paying the state too. So let's get some of that back into the town and do some of these projects and improvements, but definitely working together because your experience definitely will be helpful and the citizens will be super helpful if they get a task force together with us in order to get some of these things going. And they might even be able and have some grant experience in some of these avenues because we have a very talented community that can help with some of these things. So really good points.
I just want to,
Well, I mean, a lot of what we're talking about now is for our workshops.
but I just want to talk about the next 4 weeks. And I'm certain that there's a Gambian right outside our door here that needs to be cleared. And that could, and I'm certain that the tributary that is right outside the library and goes behind the garage and heads toward the creek, that I know that needs to be cleared of debris. And those are two things that I'm certain any engineer, and I did talk to one, that would say, get that done as soon as possible. And I know the Middle Road residents have said, I think a whole year I've been hearing them say, we need to dig out that pond.
But
And-
we've only had 28 days.
I realize that.
And we are working on that, but we cannot spend the whole night talking about the same stuff. We have talked about this. We are working on doing these things, but we cannot do them in 28 days. We have to find out what they are. Okay, in terms of the budget, we have an accountant firm that's going to take care of our budget with us. But we had 120 days to work all of this stuff out. And we're working on it. And it's going to happen. That's the good thing about it all. We're putting the right people in place, but it takes time to do that too. And you can't do that in 28 days.
And I just want to say something about the task force for the flood mitigation and stormwater management. I think the task force could not only be responsible for assessment townwide, a systemic assessment, but also some action items and possibly moving up toward an appropriations bill, or finding ways to pay for what needs to be done. So I have great faith in what a task force could do, and I would like anyone who's interested to contact both myself and the supervisor, and our emails are at the Town of Rush website.
Thank you, Councilmember Rizzo, for echoing the concerns.
Any more public comments? So I'd like to close the meeting. And I'll get a
I'll
second.
second.
Wilma Rizzo,
Yes.
Councilman Pies,
Aye.
Caution,
Aye.
Supervisor Hankins.
Aye. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for coming.